What is up? My name is Darcy. No, I'm playing. But yo, what's good, y'all? My name is Darcy. Here we are at Off the Dome, and here we speak off the dome. Today's topic is about if you're ready to live abroad. So, as me, as someone who's been abroad 4 years, almost 5 years now, crazy. Um, I'm gonna try and see, if I can give you some tips, help you out. The first part obviously is you're gonna need to learn the language. So don't even think about it if you're not ready to not use English. So I just get it out of the way. It is I know it's like, oh my god, this dude, of course, but like people try to travel without knowing the language, and I'm like, bro, like okay, like 3 days a week, we want to see the touristy sites. That's fine, but if you really want to live abroad, you're gonna have to learn the language, bro. So don't even get me started with that. The second thing we get into is a little bit more serious is bureaucracy. So I would say make sure your visa information is on point. Make sure you get background checks. Make sure you are, doing those things in the States, getting your degree, apostille if you're trying to get a job. Because they're gonna, if you want to have a visa, a long term visa, not tourist visa, but a long term visa, you're going to need to get certificates, and those certificates you need to do in the States. So, don't just go to another country and try to get the visa without any documents because they're going to be like, no, you need these documents, and you can't really do it in that country. You kind of have to do some things in the States, like your fingerprint, you're going to do that, a background check, you can't do that in that country, so you have to do that in the States. So that's really important because you don't want to waste money on a flight, um, and those things do take time. Sometimes a week, sometimes a month. Depends what state, depends what where you're at. But that stuff is extremely important because visa problems always come up, even if you do have those things. And so imagine if you don't have those things, your life will be a lot more stressful. So I promise you guys, please make sure you read the qualifications, ask someone for advice, ask someone for help, look at Facebook groups, look at the qualifications on there. Facebook groups are really good. I always, if I'm going to a new city, I'm like, okay, city Facebook group, or like Cali Facebook group, Brazil Facebook group, Spain Facebook group, boom, the city, Sevilla Facebook group, Madrid, like, and there's lots of people in there, lots of questions, lots of tips. So use your resources. You cannot do anything alone. We always need help in life, and Facebook is a great way. Also, YouTube. YouTube, I would say, has helped me a lot. Also, looking for information for help, especially with the visa, because the visa, if every country is different, every city could be different. So I would say that's really important. Understand you if you know that type of those type of things. All right. I would say the next thing, if you feel you're ready to move abroad, is if you're ready to be a new person. You can't bring this old identity into your new life. You kind of have to leave some things behind because you're not going to fit into this culture. Okay. What's going to happen is you're going to try to be yourself in the States. And, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with who you were before, but this is a different environment. These are different people. They have different traumas, different experiences, different pasts, different childhoods. So you have to adapt to their culture, to their environment, as to where you have been adapting to your environment, the one you grew up with, your family. So it feels really easy to be yourself. It feels really easy to love who you are, to be proud, to laugh, to make those inside jokes, cultural jokes. But once you live abroad, a lot of that stuff is gone. It's gone. And you have to accept that you have to become a new person. I have to be a new Darcy because they might not understand everything about my old life. And this is really this is where you really get to see how different culture is, how different people grew up. It's really interesting because when you don't see it, like when you don't travel abroad, you haven't traveled abroad before, like you don't really see it until you're immersed in it, and you're like, okay, like it's like small things, you know. So if you are ready to grow, ready to be a new person, ready to not bring the state's culture, if you're ready to leave the state's culture, any type of culture you come from, then you're ready. And one thing I always say is like, don't always go around saying, "Oh, in the states they do this. Oh, in the states they do this. Oh, in my state they do this." Like no one cares about your state, bro. No one cares. So a lot of times people try to compare this city and that and their old city to kind of try to relate, but a lot of times people don't care about that. So I wouldn't even try to do all that, bro. Another thing you need to know if you think you're ready to move abroad, obviously, is finances. Make sure you have money. Make sure you are, paying your credit card debt. And that's tough. People always say, "Oh, get a remote job, do this, just work online." But no one ever has the resources for online jobs. No one ever has the resources for jobs that are remote. You know, and some people get lucky and they're blessed. They're blessed for sure because it's not easy to find a job that you can work abroad long term. Maybe your job might give you PTO, 2 weeks, a month, but long term, that's really hard. And obviously there's jobs like teaching. I teach. uh Jobs like volunteer. There's jobs, but we understand that they're not the best paid. You're not gonna be living like a king, and maybe you want this different type of lifestyle where you are comfortable in that country, so you want more money. So at least try to have a plan. The plan doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the parts. You know, when I came to Colombia, I really didn't have a job, but I had enough money for me to say, okay, I feel comfortable here. I can survive for 3 to 6 months. And if I don't find a job, I guess, well, you know. But I knew that Colombia had good jobs teaching English. So I was pretty confident that I would find something, whether it's in a small city, a big city, no little pay. Like I knew I was gonna find something. So whether that's doing research beforehand, once again asking for advice, going to Facebook groups, that's really important because leaving going abroad is a big thing. So if you aren't really prepared financially, yes, we're proud of you. Yes, you did something. You jumped. You made that big jump to live abroad, but we want you to be prepared. We want you to know that you need to be financially secure, financially confident, and have this mindset of money is going to come. We can't leave and be in fear. Being in fear is never going to help us. And so I pray that you at least have something, save a little bit. I know people want to drop everything and leave the next day, but we got to be realistic, especially if we're doing it for the long term. So, yes, yes. And the one of the last things maybe I'll say if you're ready to live abroad is if you're excited, on a positive note, this is gonna bring so much love into your life, so much joy because it's something new, something exciting, and the culture is gonna be eye opening. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love seeing new people, new food, new music, new sights. So get ready for that. That's going to be exciting. That's going to be amazing. You're going to feel love. You're going to feel happy. And you're going to feel proud of yourself. Moving abroad is not something easy. That is one of the most difficult things ever. You're leaving everything behind to go start somewhere new, a new world, new place, new city. So understand it's going to be difficult, but when we do difficult things, that builds resilience. When we do difficult things, the reward feels that much stronger. I always look at the map whenever I'm abroad. I'm like, dang, I'm here. Like I'm literally like here, and I used to be there. And it's far, and it's really crazy to see how big the world is, how many people there are, how different the cultures can be, just a little bit. But understand that this journey will be extremely rewarding. You won't ever regret, even if you fail, you won't regret it because you took the effort to try something new. You took the effort to go for your dreams. And that's admirable. That's admirable, 100%. And so I say, if you're ready to grow, if you're ready to feel new emotions, then you're ready. You're ready. So yeah. Living abroad is, every person has their own path. Every person is going to experience it a different way. But at the end of the day, your things you can do to prepare, you know, ask for help. Look for people who've done it before. Facebook groups. Look at the visa stuff. Please look at the visa stuff. Each country is different. Understand you're not gonna be able to speak English. No, just don't do it. Because if you speak English, you're gonna stay in the gringo communities. And the thing about gringo communities is, if I wanted to be with gringos, I would be in the states. I'd be in New York. I'd be in Miami. Like I'm not trying. Like it's good to have one or two, but if you find yourself always around gringos, why are you abroad? You know, this is where we talk about getting outside of your comfort zone. We we get to experience this new culture. It's all around us. Many people, many things to do. Go out, clubbing, dancing, even go to church. But if you're just gonna stay with the people from your same country, you're not really living the true experience of being a foreigner in a new country. And I would say it's not worth it if you're just going to talk to gringos. And this is the part, fear. Of course, you're going to be afraid to talk to new people, speaking their language, not knowing their culture. But that's the point. That's the whole idea of why you are living abroad, because you want a different type of life. You want a different lifestyle. And only way to do that is to get outside your comfort zone. So if you're ready to get outside your comfort zone, boom. I know you're never going to feel ready to get outside your comfort zone, but the important part is you're already out that door. The important part is knowing you're going to fail many times. I failed so many times. I'm failing right now, like sometimes I don't have a great group of friends, but I'm still here. So tomorrow I could try again. Next I could try again. And that's what matters the most. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think. Speaking off the cloth right now, speaking off the dome. But yeah, man, living abroad, it's a beautiful experience. Even if you go for a month, it's a beautiful experience. But if you really want to live long term, it's a lot harder than people think. Unless you got 10 bands, 100 bands. Hey, you got it, bro. You got it. Hey, you got it, bro. You got it. But if you don't, take the time, plan it out, look out for resources, look out for help, and you'll find out that once you do that, okay, I can do it. Okay, I see they're doing it. I see they made it. They did this, that, and the third. Okay, boom, me too. Let's do it. So yeah, I love you guys. Please, at least try it. If you fail, it's okay. The important part is you did it. The important part is now you have experience. You can say you tried. You can say you did it, and you can dream about that. So until next time on Off the Dome, we out. I'm gonna see y'all when I see ya. Peace.